Well, I had a different question, but it struck me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're...
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected.
Yeah.
So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term, because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
So why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice, who's not for that? But words do migrate. Now, I'll use any term you want.
Okay.
Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
or maybe the super far right.
Well, he's talking about the left. Well, then
okay, but we talked about that. I mean, I think we agree about the danger of the super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat.
In a lively discussion on The View, Bill Maher and Sunny Hostin debated how the meaning of the term woke has changed over time. Maher argued that although it originally represented awareness of social injustice, especially within the black community, it has since been distorted into a divisive label used by political extremes. In his view, this shift has fueled polarization and stripped the term of its original purpose. Hostin, however, disagreed, maintaining that its roots in social awareness and justice are still valid and important, and that the term should not be abandoned because of partisan misuse. Their exchange highlighted a broader disagreement about how progressive language evolves and how social consciousness is defined in an increasingly polarized society.
I wanted to ask you about that, because I think you're almost a free speech absolutist. You believe totally in the right to say what you believe, but I think a lot of us were disturbed to see terrorist flags being waved on American college campuses, and seeing this a generation that some I think genuinely care about the plight of the Palestinians. I think most Americans do, but some who seem to be embracing a terrorist organization over the nation of Israel. What do you make of this moment? What do you think it's a result of? How do we fix it?
Well, I mean, it's just astounding to me that they can't tell the good guys from the bad guys. I mean, just morally. I mean, let me tell you, if you're for Hamas, just live in Gaza for a day. And I'm not talking about while the war is on. I mean, before the war. Trust me, you would go running and screaming and begging to live in Tel Aviv, a place that has your values. I mean, women have this is a show watched by a lot of women. Women have no rights in this place, and a lot of majority Muslim countries around the world. I mean, there is no equal rights as far as speech, dress, opportunities for education, reproductive rights, freedom from sexual violence, freedom from sexual harassment.
The LGBTQ community as well.
Yes.
You that too. But you throw around the term apartheid. There is a gender apartheid in a lot of the world, where women are second-class citizens at best.
Maher's argument is grounded in his observation that some left-leaning factions appear to offer tacit or explicit support to groups like Hamas, which he is fundamentally opposed to progressive values due to their treatment of women and minorities. His concern goes beyond political alignment, focusing instead on what he views as a moral inconsistency, supporting causes or ideologies that may undermine equality and human rights. He argues that this contradiction risks weakening the left's credibility and alienating its base, framing it as a departure from liberalism's traditional commitments to universal human rights and opposition to authoritarianism. Sunny Hostin, however, challenged this framing, calling for greater nuance. She acknowledged the diversity within left-leaning movements and argued that support for the Palestinian cause should not be equated with support for Hamas. Hostin emphasized that many activists are motivated by concern for innocent civilians living under difficult conditions, rather than alignment with extremist groups. She maintained that criticism of militant organizations should not overshadow the broader pursuit of human rights and social justice.
I've noticed, but I find that oftentimes when I'm watching the news, I'm only getting portions, because one of the things that happens, I was listening to you talk about, the kids that had the Hamas flags. It reminded me of when people were saying Antifa is there, and doing that. So bad players show up and make stuff happen. But do you find that the view that we're being shown seems to be meant to guide us into thinking about people one way when in fact it may be a much bigger conversation?
Oh, of course. I mean, the media is always going to just chase what is interesting to watch. I mean, I used to be able to watch the nightly news, for example. I can't do it. I mean, first of all, it should be called, here's some video we found that's fun to watch. That's not the news.
Yeah.
You know, like anything that happens on a plane. Like the plane skidded off the runway, so what? Call me when anybody died, and it's not, the door fell off. Okay, I'm sorry.
I understand the door falling off, but you don't want to be up in the air.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. That one I needed to know.
Okay.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And then by the time you get to the last segment, it's just, you know, the bears in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
You know, it's just nothing.
Yeah.
And it's narrative over truth. You know, I mean, it's not like when I hear people talk on either side of it, I always think they're lying. They're just telling me half of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never trust them anywhere until I check out the other half.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's tedious.
Yeah.
You know, I just want one place, and of course it's my book and my show.
Continuing the discussion, Bill Maher delivered a sharp critique of the media, accusing it of fueling division and deepening tribalism by favoring sensational narratives over balanced reporting. He argued that many mainstream outlets appear more focused on exploiting conflict to drive viewership than on presenting accurate, well-rounded information. In his view, this approach undermines journalistic integrity, as certain stories may be minimized or overlooked if they don't align with prevailing narratives, leaving audiences with a skewed understanding of events. Maher didn't soften his stance, suggesting that the media has drifted away from its role as an objective source of information and has instead become a driver of selective outrage. He warned that this pattern keeps audiences polarized, frustrated, and distrustful. Calling for a course correction, he urged a return to core journalistic principles, prioritizing honesty, context, and balance, while cautioning that without such changes, societal divisions could continue to deepen.
We're talking about your new book, which
Yes.
looks at 20 years of your editorials re-edited and reimagined right in time for Father's Day. What do you want people to take away from reading it?
Yeah.
Well, I think I think we're tribal now, which is not good. And I think there's 4 tribes, basically. There's old school liberals, which I would mostly count myself as, old school conservatives. There's still some of those
You've
left.
changed, though.
Wait, what are the other two?
Go ahead.
What are the other two?
Well, that's what I was trying to find out in this book. I don't think I have. And you know, we were saying in the break, we have to come up with a new word for woke. Let's have a contest, because this is a word that's triggering. But I mean, those concepts that are different than they were 5 years ago. I mean, we used to do, well, you did it. I was a guest on what was the homeless show? Comic Relief.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You were, great show.
Yeah.
And homeless was a term that I thought we kind of came up with because people were calling them bums and vagrants and hobos.
Now that's
homeless. No.
It's unhoused.
Well, it's people
Unhoused.
experiencing
Unhoused.
homelessness. But they're experiencing it on the street.
Yeah.
Okay, the liberal view of that was for compassion's sake. We're the liberals. We're compassion. Let's get these people off the street.
Yeah.
That's not the view of the, whatever word we're going to come up with for this. Their view of the homeless is they're an endangered species that needs to be protected in their natural habitat, living their best life under a bridge. You know, that to me is crazy. That's the kind of things, I haven't changed on that. I still think we should get these people off the street. That's the compassion sake. So I didn't change, they changed, and there's lots of examples of that.
Finally, Bill Maher offered a broader critique of modern politics, portraying it as a battlefield shaped by rigid, opposing tribes that value loyalty over meaningful dialogue. He divided the political landscape into 4 main groups: traditional liberals, conventional conservatives, and 2 newer factions that, in his view, often adopt more extreme positions on social issues. According to Maher, these emerging groups tend to favor ideological purity over critical thinking, pressuring individuals to conform and sidelining those who question dominant narratives. He was blunt in warning that this mindset represents a step backward, arguing that unless people move beyond tribal loyalties and return to open, good faith discussion, society risks becoming trapped in isolated echo chambers disconnected from reality and from one another. Overall, the episode of The View stood out for its dynamic exchange of opposing perspectives. If you enjoyed this discussion, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps. More thought-provoking videos are on the way.